Our two-star wide receiver just committed to UNLV and immediately after was introduced to his offensive coordinator and coach Wiley. Wiley gave us a warm welcome and debriefed David on what to expect at the collegiate level. David was excited to get to work, but things weren't all sunshine and rainbows, as once he stepped foot onto campus, Willow finally realized just how difficult things would be. For starters, he was at the bottom of the depth chart to start the season, and to make things worse, David was only a 60 overall. The path towards playing time early seemed bleak, but David would not let that discourage him. He put his head down and got to work. Week after week after week, he slowly began earning his coach's trust. The Rebels were 3-1 heading into their bye, and David was starting to make serious strides in his game. But this is where the distractions started to creep in, as David's classmate Audrey asked him to skip his lab and go with her to her sorority's initiation party. Here's the thing. Willow was no longer a lover boy after what happened at homecoming his senior year. So, instead of going with Audrey, he stood her up and went with her friend instead, which didn't work out well for Willow anyways. It seems like he has girl problems no matter where he goes. Nevertheless, things were looking good for David. He crushed one of his tests, improved his hands to become a 62 overall, and then again in week 9 to get up to a 64. On top of that, he might have found his home in Mackenzie, who later on clutched up by helping us ace an exam without having to study. Soon after, in week 11, Willow received his first ever NIL deal, became a 65 overall, and finally earned his first position battle. David wasn't going to let the opportunity pass him up, and after completely dominating practice, he was now the wide receiver 5. Additionally, Willow was also now a 67 overall, but sadly this wasn't enough to receive any playing time in their last game of the regular season. The Rebels were now 9-3 on the season, ranked 21st in the nation, and now faced Boise State in the Mountain West Conference Championship. Luckily for Willow, in the weeks prior to the game, he'd have another chance at moving up the depth chart. Can David dominate another position battle and finally receive snaps in the Rebels' biggest game of the year? Find out in the next episode.